Are we live now? Yes, we are live. Woo! Hello, everyone. Welcome to People for the Planet Summit. I am your host, Maria Elisa Camargo, and I am so excited to be here. Thank you all for being a part of this. By the way, did you know that by joining us today, you are helping our partner MedShare support frontline healthcare workers just by being here? So, thank you. Okay, today is all about connection. Oh, I love this word. Something we need now more than ever. That's why Pila has brought in experts from all around the globe to bring all different perspectives on how we, as people, can better show up for our planet. But before we get down to it, let's talk about where this discussion even began. Now, Pila is founded on the idea that we can do better, and I certainly believe so. With the goal of eliminating 1 billion pounds of plastic from our oceans, they have created an entire community and a brand that are based on this notion. Here's how it all began.
There's this saying that we came across, which is that you don't inherit the planet from your parents, you borrow it from your children.
We were on vacation in Kauai. My son was a year and a half at the time, and we were digging in the sand on the secluded beach, and there were little pieces of plastic everywhere.
Pila is the world's first compostable phone case, which sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud. It's like, why would you want a phone case to compost?
But then the idea that the average person keeps their phone for 18 to 24 months, yet the phone case is made from a non-renewable resource that can last for hundreds or thousands of years.
We know that it's difficult to make the kind of change that we want to see.
Our customers are leaders. They're making a choice. They're choosing sustainable product over a non-sustainable product, so that takes a lot of courage for them to make that change and believe in us.
And this business was built from day one with impact in mind. We look at organizations like Save the Waves, which is a great partner of ours, and we say, okay, you guys are doing excellent work in ocean conservation and beach cleanup and protecting sacred surf spots. How can we help?
When we think about small choices for big impact, I think of little things like picking up a piece of garbage. Those little small steps are so important because you don't know what they're going to lead to.
Community is our first core value, because you can't do what we're trying to do without a very large and loud community. They believe fully in this mission of less waste, like let's consume better. For us, we now look at Pila and we say, okay, we have a great community, they support us, we support them. How do we now turn Pila into a platform that they can stand on? How do we give them the story to tell?
If at the very least, someone sees a phone case and it starts a conversation, maybe it inspires someone to do something great for the world, great for the environment. I want to see a future where we make things smarter. We have the technology to make products more sustainable.
Like, what if the oceans had no plastic in them? What if they were just waste-free? What could it look like is way more interesting to me than just imagining this perfect future, right? It's like little things that could add up to a world where I would be really proud to leave that behind.
Wow. You don't inherit the planet from your parents, you borrow it from our children. Powerful. You know, ever since I was introduced to this brand, I was blown away. I mean, the first compostable plant-based phone case, that's no small thing. I'm a fan. So, if you want to stay connected throughout the event, we encourage you to watch on your computer where you will still be able to join our live chat and submit questions for our speakers. So it's time now to introduce one of our thought leaders taking our live digital stage today on Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. And he is an actor. You might remember him from Disney's hit series Andy Mack. But he's also an environmentalist and a spokesperson to the United Nations. Please welcome Luke Mullen, who will be talking about what an environmental advocate looks like in 2020. Hello, Luke.
Hey, am I on? All right. How is it going, everyone? Happy Earth Day. It's the 50th anniversary today. Possibly my favorite day of the year. So I am so excited to be here. Thank you to everyone who is joining and is listening right now. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about what an environmental advocate looks like in 2020. So a little bit about me. I am an actor. I have been advocating for the environment for maybe since I was born. I've always had a love for nature, always had an appreciation for our environment. So really since day one, I've always been advocating for our environment. So in this day and age, environmental advocate doesn't just look like one person, or it's really not, you can't put an environmental advocate in one box per se. I think there are so many different perspectives and so many different ways that we all in our own lives can be environmental advocates. Really, anyone can be an advocate by taking steps in their own life. So, first of all, I want to say that I'm sure right now we're all a little stressed. I think climate anxiety is something that is very prevalent to my generation, especially. Things can seem overwhelming. Reading the news, just the overwhelming evidence of what is happening all around us right now. I think seeing just the devastation of the climate crisis can in itself be extremely overwhelming. I think the one main part of being an environmental advocate, though, is always showing hope, always having this message of hope in your life. Because without hope, I don't think it's possible to take action. You know, our planet is our home, and we have to start treating it like it is. And without that initial hope, without believing that we can be better, like the motto, um, without that notion of, hey, we can come together and solve this crisis, that is what is going to push us to the next step. So we can't be hopeless, but what we can do is start taking actions in our own life. So, in my life specifically, some of the things that I've started to do is I've started taking action in my local community. So, years ago, I started a nonprofit with a friend called Tomorrow's Green, in which we would take, elementary school kids out on field trips to get them involved with nature and get them involved in really learning about some of the core fundamentals of what the climate crisis is about. So taking these initial steps in your community it can have insane impacts. I know specifically for our kids that we took out on these field trips, they came back and they did projects, they did presentations in their classrooms, they even said they planted trees in their own backyard, which is amazing. So community-based action is really one of the best ways to becoming that environmental advocate that we all strive to be. With the nonprofit and taking kids out on field trips, what we did is we immersed them in nature. And I think that's one thing that actually we don't hear a lot about. One thing that is kind of lacking in advocacy is nature involvement. I think our nature connects us all. The environment is really revolves around protecting nature. Nature is such an important place to escape. Right now we can't really experience that nature, but when this is over, getting out there and just going on a hike, taking your friend out to your favorite tree, your favorite meadow. I mean, I think those things, they really inspire us. One of the biggest things that inspired me to start taking action in my own community. Community-based action is not just, going out in nature, planting a tree. It's also restoration. Restoration is one of the greatest ways that combat habitat loss and climate change. You see in Australia, there are rehabilitation groups that are going out to the coral reef and making sure that it is protected, and making sure that the habitat loss of the coral bleaching doesn't spread and doesn't continue. These local groups are making such waves. Yeah, coral reefs. It's a good pun. They're making such waves in their own communities, which actually has immense impacts all across the world. So getting involved in your local community, I say, is one of the easiest and great steps in becoming that environmental advocate. So right now, because we are all inside, and obviously you are inside probably watching this live stream, we have to find other tools in becoming an environmental advocate, in becoming that sustainable person that we want to be. So one way to actually get involved is through social media. Social media is such an incredible tool in the fight for the climate crisis. I have, obviously, because I have a platform on social media, I have been trying to use that platform to spread awareness to my audience, and to really create this environment where information is spread more easily and with less of a doomsday type of outlook on the climate crisis. So one of the largest ways is it's really through your phone, spreading awareness through sharing different videos, sharing different posts, even creating your own videos is something that I have done in my own life too, in my own social media page, to make sure that my audience is aware, because spreading awareness is insanely important. We can have the action, we can have all of this, this coalition and coming together and fighting for something, but without that awareness, how are we going to rally the troops? So that is why I have used social media as the tool to spread awareness to an audience. And, everyone has a voice. And that's something that I'm trying to always advocate for. Everyone has a voice. No matter if you have 100,000 followers or if you have 10 followers, we all have a voice to spread awareness about the environment. So other than just, posting on social media and resharing videos, there are tons of ways to educate yourself on the climate movement and environmental activism and living sustainably. Obviously, later in the live stream, you're going to hear from some other amazing activists, but later today and even for the next few months, there are tons of resources online, because the movement has had to adapt and become more of an online movement at the moment. So there are a lot of climate striking groups and coalition that is hosting virtual striking. Every Friday, you can strike from your home, because we can't obviously go outside and strike in front of our government buildings. I hope that you're not. You can take a simple sign and hold it up and post it on your social media, because just like the flooding of social media and getting the word out, I think is one of the most important aspects of this fight. It's crucial to make sure that everyone is involved and everyone knows what's going on. So virtual striking is one way you can do that in your own room. I'm going to start doing that in the next coming months. Other than just virtual striking, there are these social media storms that are happening with One Up Action, Polluters Out, US Youth Climate Strike, these groups that are flooding social media about a specific topic in the environment. That's something that you can easily retweet, repost, something that I've tried to do in these last couple of weeks. So there are so many ways on social media specifically that you can get involved. So go to some of those groups that I mentioned, see what they are doing. Some groups are even hosting virtual Zoom chats where you can, train and figure out how to become an environmental advocate. So go to those groups if you are very interested in getting involved in climate striking specifically. So some behaviors in your own personal life that environmental advocate tries to do, I think, is something that I've done specifically is going vegetarian. I've gone vegetarian for the past few months. It is one of the easiest ways to cut down your carbon footprint immediately. Going meatless, it actually reduces your carbon footprint by over 30%. I have always been a meat lover, so I understand that it's very hard. But taking those small steps in your own life, like starting with chicken, just say I'm going no chicken, and then going meatless Mondays. That is something that can significantly reduce your carbon footprint. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start talking really quickly, but taking those actions in your own life is extremely important. I think we're gonna go to the Q&A right now.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much, Luke, for sharing. This was an amazing start. Definitely showing hope is so important for us as leaders, right? Media can be so pessimistic, and I think like it's our job to make environmentalism a trend and a happy project, right? So while you were speaking, we were pulling some questions from the audience. So if you don't mind doing a quick Q&A, let me
All
see.
good.
So they ask, how can I convince others that don't have the same views as you to take action?
Yeah. So that is one of the biggest questions that I always get. How do I convince, my brother, my uncle, who is not involved in environmental issues, to take action? I think one of the easiest ways is through film. I know specifically that the documentary Before the Flood was a documentary that inspired me to get involved in the climate movement. There is so many documentaries and films out there that truly just that hit you right in the heart, and I think that hearing it on the news, it can be you can feel disconnected from it. But when you actually are seeing these images of what's happening in our world, and seeing just some of the devastating impacts with your own eyes through these films, I think if they are open to it, make them watch Before the Flood, Cowspiracy, some of these amazing documentaries that truly inspire you to take action. I mean, if you can go away watching, Cowspiracy and still want to eat meat, that's impressive. But I would say documentaries really get to the heart of taking action in your own life. So I think they do a really good job of convincing, and they definitely convinced me.
For sure. Yeah. Oh my God. Documentaries. We have so much access to information nowadays. I mean, there's no excuse. We just need to kind of guide people through and just make it, trendy and important and relevant. Now, second
Yeah.
question. Why is climate change your main focus in advocacy? Like, why that specifically?
Right. Climate change is not just one issue. Climate change is 10 different issues in one. It's the environment, it's nature, it's job security, it's immigration. There are so many issues tied to climate change, and so many people that are going to be affected by climate change. I believe climate change to be the number one issue that we are going to have to solve in the next coming years. So I think that climate change is quite possibly the biggest. It has the most parts to it, and there are so many different parts that you can get involved specifically. So I know that me, as a young person, climate striking has always been something that I have tried to do for the past couple of years and get all my other peers involved. I think it's a great way to use your voice, because I know that if we don't solve climate change, we're not going to solve the other 10 issues that we're trying to solve at the moment. So taking care of, pinpointing what we can do in our own lives to take climate change down and, fight it is going to make sure that we can solve those other 10 issues in the future, because they're all interconnected. Climate change isn't just one issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Luke. We'll be right back after this short commercial break from our sustainable brand partners. Thank you, Luke.
Bye.
We'll accept your deal.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sharks. Really appreciate it.
Let's bring it back to the beginning.
We started SandCloud, a brand dedicated to making a difference in the world by protecting our oceans and marine life. We started designing better beach towels, fixing everything that was wrong with them. Too bulky, sand sticks, boring designs. Hand-woven Turkish cotton makes for the world's best beach towels. Built the world's biggest ambassador team, found out they wanted more, which made happy customers around the world. And we did all of that to have more moments like this. And this.
Is this real? Oh my god! Wow! Save the fishies!
And we're just getting started.
Thank you all for making this possible.
You've shaped our brand from the very beginning.
And because of you, we're able to make a difference.
And as our business grows, so will these moments.
My pillowcase is plant-based. I'm plant-based. Pillowcase is saving the planet. I'm trying to save the planet. It's a perfect match.
I support Pila because of their commitment to making earth-friendly products to lead us towards a plastic-free future.
We can continue to use the products we love without harming the earth, and I think that's pretty great.
Because I think it's such an awesome conversation starter with others about plastic pollution.
Because not only is it a durable phone case, it also represents a waste-free future, which is an admirable goal and something everyone can achieve little by little.
Welcome back, and let's move right on to our second speaker of the day. She's the Policy and Research Manager at Fashion Revolution, the world's largest movement working towards a fairer, safer, and more transparent fashion industry. She will be talking about a very controversial topic, fashion and its waste issue. Please give a warm digital welcome to Alicio Lovejoy. Hi, Alicio.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. I'm on the line. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I think that there are some slides up. So I'm just going to jump right in and hope that you guys can see those slides. So again, I'm part of the Fashion Revolution team. I'm on the Policy and Research team. So we work particularly on a lot of research projects such as the Fashion Transparency Index. And thanks for having me. Right now, we're actually, as well as it being Earth Day, it's also Fashion Revolution Week, which is our annual week of campaigning. So although there's testing times, it's also an amazing week for us to be really grateful for so much and to really keep fighting that fight. So Fashion Revolution was born as a result of a tragic factory disaster in 2013 when over 1,000 garment workers in Bangladesh sadly lost their lives due to a factory collapsing. All of these workers were making clothes for a lot of the high street brands that we're all familiar with and we were buying from at the time. And that's when a group of people in London came together and just said the efforts that we are having as a community working towards sustainability in the fashion industry at this point are not working and we need to do a lot more. And that's kind of when Fashion Revolution was born. We work across 3 pillars of change. We believe that there's cultural change, there's industry change, and there's policy change. So everything we do kind of fits into that category where we're really trying to push for change amongst those things. So although this incident was a number of years ago, unfortunately, it's as apparent today as it has ever been why we need to see a better fashion industry and we need to change things because as we've seen with the global pandemic happening, garment workers across the world are suffering from losing their jobs as a direct result of a lot of brands cancelling their orders. So we've got a lot of things still to change. So one of the things on the slide before that we just saw was the transparency. We call for transparency, and that's because we believe transparency is a tool for change. It's an enabler for change because we believe that we can't really have these conversations unless we start by having information to base those conversations on. So all of us wear clothes, whether we think that we're part of the fashion industry, we're fashionable or not, we all get up and we get dressed every day and we buy from brands and we choose which brands we want to buy from as well. So if a brand communicates to us, its customers, then it opens dialogue and we are able to influence them to be better and more responsible businesses. So today I'm going to focus in more particularly because of the Earth Day on some of the waste and the waste problems that we see within the industry. So we can move to the next slide, please. So Fashion Revolution, fashion product and production has been accelerating for years now, and we can just simply no longer sustain the amount that we produce annually and consume. And that's in the way that it's produced, it's in the natural resources that we're extracting and using, but it's also in how we care for the clothing once we own it, and also how quickly we dispose of it. So there's things piling up. So this is just to give you an idea of the quantity of clothing we're now producing each year, and it just simply put, it doesn't fit within the planetary boundaries anymore. We really need to slow down on our consumption of clothing because as I said, it's not compatible. The trajectory that we're currently on is not compatible with the Earth's limitations. And I think as we're all aware, we're watching in today because of Earth Day. So we're aware that there are planetary boundaries and we need to get better at respecting those, I think. So just to give you a quick spin on some of the issues that we're finding within our clothes. Polyester is made from petroleum and plastic. So every time we buy polyester, we are actually potentially using virgin petrol and plastics. Viscose originates from trees and wood. So there's a massive forestry issue there that we could potentially be impacting or not, depending on the supply chain of the brand that we choose to work with. Cotton uses an immense amount of land and water and is linked to climate change in certain areas around the world. And there's linen, which is also a crop. So sometimes when we're shopping for clothes and we look at an item, and this is me included, we don't always see the natural resource that we are relying on for that item to be there in that particular shop, not to mention all of the dyes that are used in the process, the electricity, the energy to transport that halfway across the world before it gets to us. And so it's sometimes hard to even comprehend when you look at a dress how much we've relied on the earth and its resources for that particular item. So I really appreciate some of Luke's comments before me, and I guess I'm here with a similar mission to talk about how we can all come together and really take some action to change things. So every year, it's estimated that 300,000 tons of used clothes in the UK go to landfill. So just to give you an idea of the scale of that situation. So what can we do to change some of these things? I think it comes back to the action part, and that's collective action. So the efforts that we all take individually are significant and powerful, but when we come together as collectives and take those actions, they really do and have time and time again proven to change the world. So I know that we're all cooped up at home at the moment and we may not be buying many clothes, but there's a number of different things that we can do still to prevent contributing to some of these kind of impacts that the fashion industry is having. And as Will.i.am said, which I love this quote, waste isn't waste until we waste it. So this is really a call for us to all get much more creative from home and think about some of the things we can do. At the start of this pandemic, a perfect example of this is that none of us even knew what COVID-19 was. And now we all know everything about it. I talk to my friends, my family, and they're all experts. And actually, if we dedicated that amount of time to understanding our clothes and its impacts, then we could all become experts on that and really take some meaningful action. So for instance, if you just decide to mend a piece of clothing before purchasing new, you can have significant positive benefits on the environment and the planet, and you can contribute to a movement of collective action that is currently happening globally. So you can join that movement simply by mending, sewing a button on before you throw that top away, deciding to just rewear something you have rather than buy new. There's a lot of different, I think we're just waiting for the next slide to come up. I can't see if that's changed or not. I'm not sure if that's my connection. But I think we're going to move into the Q&A now, so I'll continue in there.
Thank you, Alicio, for your very, very relevant talk. I think most of us consumers are not even aware of what goes on behind our shopping experience, and we never really, I don't know, we never dare to ask, or most of the time we don't even care because we're not aware of what's going on, right? Also, media is constantly telling us to buy, even when we don't need more clothes. So that's crazy. That's something that needs to change from, its origins. And understanding this information that you're sharing, which is shocking, is so important to make good decisions as consumers. So I got a couple questions from the audience. Let me see here. What is the government's role in all of this?
Yeah, so the government could step in and regulate. That's a really good question, and one that we, again, don't really think about when we look at dresses. But if they stepped in and regulated and put laws in action and enforce those laws, then potentially they could, to give an example, say to a brand, it's illegal to use product from a particular area of ancient forestry, for instance. And then we would be able to eventually shop knowing that the brands that we're buying from are complying to law, and therefore we can shop with some kind of confidence of the process in which those clothes have been produced.
Right. Okay, and I don't know, they're asking me, will we ever see a decline in consumption?
I think that's a big question, and I think it's really down to us all as individuals to decide whether we're going to see that decline and take action. So I know that for me, year on year, I'm constantly reassessing how I shop Do I want to spend more money on better quality and have less items? And I think I'm going to throw that back to the audience and say we're going to have to decide for ourselves if we want to see that happen or not.
Agreed. Also, is there a local fashion revolution team for me?
Yeah, so we're a global movement and we have teams in over 70 countries. So if you head over to our website, which is just fashionrevolution.org, then you'll be able to find your local team. Please reach out to them. They're an incredibly friendly bunch. We are always looking to welcome anyone who wants to get involved. So yeah, head out to them. They've probably got an Instagram page. At the moment, as I mentioned, it's Fashion Revolution Week. So check out our Instagram account and you'll see a ton of stuff going on there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alicio. I learned a lot from your talk. After our commercial break,
Thank you for having
Karina
me.
of Sacred Elements. Bye-bye. Karina of Sacred
Bye.
Elements will be taking you through how to make your home a sacred space. So stay tuned.
Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm the CEO and founder of Final. You may know us better as Final Straw, which is the world's first reusable, collapsible straw that fits right on your keychain. At Final, we're on a mission to end waste. We see waste as a design flaw, and the only way to fix it is to design better things. Think about it. No animals in nature create any waste except for humans. So we just have to design better things, which is why every single item we create is backed by a lifetime guarantee. We're working on an entire line of foreverables to provide you with the tools that you need to reduce single-use plastic. Every straw matters, every choice matters, so choose to reuse.
Is that the drink?
What is this, man?
Hi friends, I am Karina with Sacred Elements. Welcome to my sacred space. So what is a sacred space? You might be asking. Sacred space is something I have come up with over the last few years because it was something that I needed in my life. And what it was how do I connect with the natural world daily, even if I'm not outside? And the answer for me was plant life. So I began collecting houseplants and cultivating plants that had been given to me or family heirlooms. Instead of being out in the garden or out in nature where I would love to be, but I have seasonal allergies, I started doing this and realizing that as I had time alone with my plants when I was watering them or checking for pests or whatever it may be, I realized that it was a powerful medicine. It was a mental health therapy, this connection with the natural world within my own home. So over the years, Sacred Elements was born. And what is Sacred Elements? I basically encourage and guide people to connecting with the natural world, to finding what it is that resonates with them. What is your element? And use that element as your foundation to creating your own sacred space. And why I feel it's so powerful and why I feel like it's so needed right now, especially right now, is that our societal well-being is reflected by each human, each individual. And if we can feel better in our own space, in our own home, then we go out into the world and we are shifted. We are more aware, we're more intentional with our actions, with our words. And I feel like that is exactly what we need right now on our planet. Because if we can be more intentional with our words and our actions, then our planet will thrive in a new way, and our society will thrive in a new way. So I do believe that bringing it here home, it can be in your kitchen window, it can be on a bathroom shelf, it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a big greenhouse inside your home. Anywhere you can create a sacred space, and I am here to guide you. I have many platforms where you can connect with me: Sacred Elements, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. And I am happy to guide you, and I feel like this is a really powerful movement and something that we can all do on a very small scale or large scale to shift our societal well-being and that of our planet. So thank you so much for joining me, sending you all the love, and yes, be well, stay home, be well. Cheers.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you so much for that. Definitely something we can all do while we're at home. Hello again. Glad you're still watching us. So our next speaker is the founder of The Girl Gone Green, a platform to inspire others to live sustainably and consciously. Her name is Manuela Baron, and she's here to talk about using art for impactful, sustainable messaging. Welcome, Manuela.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. My name is Manuela Barron. I am from The Girl Gone Green, which is a platform to spread sustainability and conscious living. And I'm so excited because today I get to chat about one of my favorite topics, which is art, and using art for impactful sustainability messaging. And so I want to share with you a little bit about how I got into it, and also hopefully inspire you to create some crafts, especially now that we're all at home. I think it's a great time to do it. And so I was an activist for a few years. I got into it by actually seeing what was going on in our planet and seeing the plastic in the ocean. And I actually got to see a river full of plastic in Vietnam, which kind of sparked this activism. See, a few years ago, I didn't really know much about environmentalism or the planet. And it took being face to face with it to realize that I was part of the problem and I needed to be part of the solution. And so that led me down the rabbit hole of a bunch of different sustainable topics like zero waste, minimalism, veganism, and just trying what worked and what didn't. And so eventually through my activism, I had a lot of emotions. I had a lot of feelings of frustration. And I found myself walking through my neighborhood. I live in Florida, and I kept seeing all of these houses decorating for Halloween, and they were using all kinds of styrofoam and plastic, and I just felt really overwhelmed. See, here I was at home trying to be as eco-friendly as possible. I was reducing my waste, I was vegan, I was doing all the things that you think you need to do, and then all of my neighbors were going out and buying new things. So I thought, like, how can I make an impact? How can I create a message and get it out there? And so I went home. It was the night before Halloween, and I decided, I'm going to do something and dress up as something funny. And so I had seen other activists do this bag monster costume where they wear how many bags a person consumes in a year. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to make that. And so I went on the Nextdoor app, and it's an application that connects you to people all around your neighborhood. And I asked, does anyone have any plastic bags I could use for this project? And I got all of these plastic bags from just 3 households. And I think we have an image, if we want to place it right here, of all of these bags. And so I created this, yes, if we can get the slides up. And so we created this bag monster costume of all of these plastic bags. And I walked around my neighborhood and people loved it. They were so confused, right? It's Halloween. Why are you wearing that? And so it kind of became this performance art and being able to spark a conversation. See, normally I don't think I would have a reason to talk about sustainability with my neighbors, but being dressed up and being in this costume allowed me to do that and allowed me to facilitate this conversation. And it was really fun because I got to create something using my hands and make something beautiful and have fun. And I went into CVS and I bought something, and the guy asked me if I wanted a plastic bag, and I said, no, I am a plastic bag. And it was just really all fun. But it got me into a movement that's called Craftivism. And so you might know Craftivism from the hats that women made during sorry, I'm trying to move the slide. There you go. So you might be familiar with the hats that we made during the Women's March back in 2017. Women from all around America knitted what they call pussy hats to wear during the Women's March. And this is a beautiful thing because it brought community together and it used skill sets that we've been using for centuries. And so Craftivism is using things like knitting, sewing, embroidery, all that you want to do to be able to create something and really use the skill, your talent to make your voice heard. And so I came across this movement and I thought, okay, this is really fun. Like, what else can I learn? And I got inspired by other artists. And so this is another artist that really inspires me. And this is Vic Muniz. And he is a Brazilian artist who makes these beautiful pieces using all trash that he finds throughout Brazil. And he goes into landfills and he seeks out all of these materials and then goes back home. So all of the shading, all of the lines that you see in these images are actually scrap metal and plastic bags and so much that he kind of like morphed together. And the subjects of his photos are always workers and normal Brazilians who really carry the weight of our pollution and of our overconsumption. And then there's also this beautiful photo, which is something that really inspires me, which is these ice blocks. So there's an artist, I'm going to butcher his name, but his name is Elafer Eliasson. And what he did is he took all of these ice pieces, these blocks from Greenland, from icebergs, and he transported them to the Tate Modern, and he just set a timer. And he just let people interact with them. And I think the big thing here is we can see the statistics. We can see the numbers and the scary things, but it's not until you're face to face with sustainability and face to face with all of these issues that it kind of clicks. And that's what clicked for me, is really having the like emotional attachment to an image. And so what he was able to create was bringing this issue of, ice melting to the middle of London and be able to have this conversation with children, with people of all ages. And that's the beautiful thing of art, is to be able to create these connections and be able to kind of start these conversations. And so that inspired me to keep going and to keep creating things. And so eventually I had these 500 plastic bags just in my studio apartment. So I lived in a 300 square foot studio apartment and I had hundreds of plastic bags. And so I thought, what else can I do with them? What else can I create? And so I made this Little Mermaid outfit, and I'll read you the caption that went along with it, but the play was really to be on the Little Mermaid, but it goes, a part of your world. A plastic bag is used on average for 12 minutes, only to end up in my sea. I used to collect gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I even had woozits and whatsits galore. But now I care. I don't want thingamabobs. They're killing my friends and polluting my reefs. I ask you, please, keep your bags in your world, not mine. And so this was just a way to really connect these plastic bags that I had, the ones that are ending up in my ocean. I live in Florida, so I have so many plastic bags that I see in the ocean all the time. And so I was able to kind of create this connection and be able to create art that went along with it. So we have a few more that I've done over the years. The next one is with plastic, with paper. I did paper and packing to really represent packaging. And yeah, so it's been a great way to connect art. And so what I really want to leave you with is that know that your talents have value, that whether it's your voice, painting, or just your daily habits, you can use your influence for good. You can get creative, you can make something. So I don't know what your thing is, I don't know what your hobby is, but I would love to see you create and just get out there and do something.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, I love the costume idea. I think that's what we need to do, right? Spark a conversation. That's where it all begins. Some people have the potential to be change makers and they just need that little push, that little inspiration. And wow, the art installations, amazing. I keep seeing these, in Tulum, some places where I go, it's like, oh, now people are starting to like, make this become a trend, become a subject of conversation. Thank you so much, Manuela. I love the concept. Art will always be such a powerful and direct vehicle to deliver a message, straight to the heart. So we have a couple questions for you. Just a reminder that if you want to partake, join us on your computer. You can submit questions and talk to our speakers. Let me see here. Manuela, okay, so we have Ian from England asking, where do you get your inspiration from?
For me, I get inspired by the planet, from taking walks in nature. I get inspired from other artists. I get inspired from just my frustration. It's human history to create and channel our emotions through art. So it's a great way to kind of do that.
Amazing. And Sarah from Canada, she asks, how do you source materials?
I try to make this as sustainable as possible. And I think there is a shift in the art world in general to be moving towards more eco-friendly paints and glues. And so for me, I try to avoid using glues and things that are wasteful unless I absolutely need to. So a lot of things are hand stitched. A lot of things are tied together. And I also source a lot of materials secondhand, again, from my Nextdoor app, and communicate with my neighbors to try to get some, just so that I'm not going out to the store and buying paint. I'm using paint that has been sitting in someone's, garage for 6 years.
Right. And John from Berlin, how can I get started? What's a good starting point?
Whether it's just taking out a piece of paper and doodling, or creating something, like, really, this is a creative process. It's something that you get to do in whatever medium it is for you. You could be poetry, it could be writing something, like Luke said earlier, it can be through social media, but we all have something to say. We all have a message that needs to be heard. And especially now, being at home, it's the time to share it with your friends and family, share it online, or create something that you really love. And I hope this inspires you to create something.
Amazing. Manuela, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. I am super
Thank
inspired.
you for having me.
Now I want to talk creative about it. Well, you're going to think I'm crazy, but no, we'll be right back with our special guest, Cee Lo Green, after this short commercial break from our sustainable brand partners.
I pledge to make a difference every day.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge to live we.
Welcome to the world of we. We is a movement that brings people together and gives them the tools to change the world. Through the We charity, we connect, unite, and create positive change. We do this domestically through We Schools, empowering a generation of youth to change the world. Internationally through We Villages, empowering families to break the cycle of poverty. With Me to We social enterprises, we create socially conscious products and experiences that allow people to do good through their everyday choices. And with every purchase, we give a life-changing impact to a child at home or overseas, living in one of our We villages. And to celebrate our passion, we come together on We Day, a powerful, life-changing experience with world-renowned speakers and performers mixed with inspirational stories of change. Being empowered to change the world is what the We movement is all about.
Okay, we're back, and I am beyond excited to introduce our special guest, a man who needs no introduction, who has been moving us to the core with his music, entertaining us in The Voice, and now making a difference in the world with his amazing initiative, the Greenhouse Foundation. He's here to talk about the world we leave behind. Please welcome Cee Lo Green.
Hi. Hello. They can hear you. Go ahead. Hey guys, how are you? Should I just ramble? First of all, thank you for having me, and inviting me to People for the Planet Summit 2020. It is something that we are very compassionate about as people, as human beings, in extension of each other. And so, information is equality, and it is also imperative because each day that goes by where some diligence is not done, we deteriorate and we digress just a little bit more. You know what I mean? I happen to notice this, and first of all, let me acknowledge my sister Shadana Alexander, who is my partner and co-founder in Greenhouse Foundation, because we were carrying on in tradition because philanthropy had been such an ingrained part of our family, and it was in respects and in continuing the tradition of my mother and our grandmother. Um, and so I think eco-friendly information and education, recycling and self-sustainability. I think these things kind of dawned on us as an epiphany. Uh, and all of a sudden, I realized that not enough attention is being paid to it, and it is probably one of our most imperative issues that go unsung and underappreciated. And it was very disappointing and alarming to us. And I've also recently been reminded of just how important it is that we get the word out and we use our namesakes, our celebrity, our influence, our platforms to be proactive on the part of people and an extension of people who are boots to the ground and doing the diligence as well and showing that we are a unified front. It dawned on me again as we've been quarantined over the last month, and we've been using a lot of bottled products, especially water. So those 24 packs of water, as you can imagine, you're in a full house of people, and water has become a fixation, if you will. Trying to sustain and maintain, and actually do something more intentional for self betterment. So we were drinking a lot of water, and then we just were piling up plastic, and I was like, wow. And then we did some inquiries, and in our jurisdiction, there unfortunately isn't a recycling bin, or any medium that is established for at least 20 miles from here. And we're out in the country. We're like an hour outside of Atlanta, Georgia, at our ranch property. And so, it became, it became just unsettling for me. You know what I mean? And so, therefore, even in our home, like as we speak in the real time, I'm just like, wow, like, what magnitude of an issue will this become after, the obvious has subsided, and then there's this influx of more and more plastics and materials that aren't even being consciously distributed or maintained or facilitated in any way, especially in a county that does not have the means whatsoever. And it almost baffled me and perplexed me that a county, even though it's small, I'm sure if every household in this county has amassed the plastic that we have in our household, that's probably a significant, I'm certain it's a significant amount. And so we wanted to then, when we got the opportunity to speak to someone from our county, representing, we wanted to see could we do something in the extension of our foundation here in this area, and really try to be, a blessing, what I'm saying, and benefit all. You know what I mean? Like all of our neighbors and extended family, and allow that good deed and deliberacy to then multiply, onward, out into the world, and it become a norm, a new normal. That's what we are expecting and anticipating for ourselves and for, the greater part of the world. I'm hoping that there's a new spiritual, communal and conscience, awakening because of the current circumstances that we're living in. I hope that it makes people aware of all of the many facets, that function or could either malfunction. And so therefore, we have to be conscious enough to do something intentional. And, music has always been my means of conveying message. And I think, for the greater part of my career, almost all of my work has been driven, you know, under that pretense of positivity, proactiveness, and fundamental and forward motion, and trying to be an inspiration to people, because I didn't realize early on as a young man that you first have to affect the thinking before you can affect the action, because it is the thinking that affects the action. And so therefore I've always felt like we were in some capacity doing something philanthropic, excuse me, or something civil and socially serving. And we're figuring out ways now, as we're doing now, to even that social distancing, the information is still airborne and people can access it and still be affected by it in a positive way. And then we become each other's accountability partners, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. And so this is important to me, and it's probably more urgent than it's ever been. And so, it is important to educate the older and the younger, and so because everybody can do their part. Sometimes you get a little deflated and a little defeated, thinking that just your one individual account and effort is not, making a dent. You know what I mean? Like, or having, enough effect. But it all counts. It all counts. In the long run and for the bigger picture. So I just urge everyone, within the sound of my voice, to become alarmed, to become upset, you know what I mean, and become um, educated and emotionally intelligent, about what's really going on. And there are many other crises that run parallel and concurrent with the circumstances of quarantine, coronavirus, and all of the many other, uh, things that we are facing as a human race at the moment. And so therefore, I definitely would like to use this bright smile, uh, to be a little bit of sugar, to help make that medicine go down. And that is our mission statement for Greenhouse Foundation. I like to thank my sister, you know what I mean, because I do a lot of interactiveness, but she is the bones of our foundation. She is on it day to day, and I have to acknowledge her with the utmost respect and appreciation. And then also for people like yourself, who are using their platforms specifically, for this essential information. And we really appreciate you too. And thank you for having us on and allowing us to be a part and allowing us to do our part.
Wow. It's so great that this is a family project. Even your doggy is a part of it. He was joining us for a second there. What's your dog's name?
Did you hear? This is let me give him. That's Zoolander. We call him Zoo. Say hello,
Oh my
world.
God, so
Live
cute.
greener, I'll bite you.
Yay. Oh my God, pets are such a reminder for me to take care of our planet. I mean, this is what we should be doing, inspiring our families to do this, bonding through contributing. It's amazing, Cee Lo. Thank you so much. And intention is so important. That's why your leadership is key to affect people's thinking and therefore action. So yes, yes. Thank you, Cee Lo, for that compelling speech, and congratulations for your wonderful contribution through Greenhouse. Also empowering children for a more sustainable future. You know, children are our future.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to take some
Absolutely.
questions from our audience. It was
Okay.
hard to pick a few. So here we go. We have David from Texas asking, what's one thing you try to do each day that helps the earth?
Recycle. Definitely. We've created our own personal bins, and now until we can make a difference in our community as far as uh, uh, a formal capacity. We are just piling that stuff, compiling it, and taking it down. And I just have to drive uh, 20 miles or so out of the way to utilize their facility. And like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a minor inconvenience, you know what I mean, to evade a larger inconvenience and loss of life. You know what I mean? Like, and loss of living, quality for our kids. So that's definitely something that we've been doing very consistently, even more so over this last month during the quarantine.
Yes, yes, recycling is so important and so doable. There's no excuse. Also,
No excuse.
Carolina from Colombia is asking, taking care of our earth is important to help keep our world beautiful. What's one of your favorite places on earth that you've traveled to?
One of the most beautiful places. Well, this is how it dawned on us that they did not have a recycling facility here in this county. Because this is a family property that's more typically used as a rental property or an events property. If someone in the family is having a big birthday, we just need a little bit of space for the entire family to get together. So it's not so much a residential for us. We live in Miami, Florida, primarily. So therefore, Miami, if you've ever been there, Miami is beautiful, and we moved there because of the beauty, to be close to the water. The weather is fair almost all of the time. Um, there's some other places around the world that I've been that are gorgeous. Um, Budapest was gorgeous. Um, Arizona is beautiful. Um, where else?
Malaysia.
Oh yeah, we've been to Malaysia. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes,
life is
Malaysia.
beautiful,
Woo.
and everything I can take in, as a beauty, because like, of course, if I'm there in a work capacity, in some regard, and I get a chance to have the best of everything. So like, everything is beautiful, from my perspective and my vantage point. And then of course there's a great deal of beauty, um, peace and tranquility in being able to do what you love for a living. So I love music. I love entertaining people. So I see the beauty in all places.
Amazing, Cee Lo. So I'm about to introduce your latest song, Lead Me, as it speaks to a lot of what you talked about here with us change makers leading the way. Is there anything you want to tell us about your new single and forthcoming album?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, sure. This song just happens to be really appropriate. You know, and love is always a motivating factor, and it's always a muse of which to create from. And so, therefore, being led by your heart, being led by your mind and your spirit and your soul, the goodness and decency of your humanity, and then also your humility of, if you don't have all of the answers, be brave enough to ask for leadership and ask for guidance. And so that's what this song is about. And also leading by example. And I try to do the best I can. You know what I mean? Like, as one man in an attempt to contribute. So the song is about loving and leading by example.
Beautiful, Cee Lo. So here it is, Lead Me by Cee Lo Green.
Doesn't matter where we started, just as long as we finish together. It's a ballad for the broken-hearted, make you feel as light as a feather. One foot in front of the other, you always gotta take your time. You just gotta trust your lover, everything will work out fine. Lead me by example, lead me, 'cause I've been going nowhere. Lead me to the promised land. I follow you through fire, you're more than a friend. What if we just kept on walking and count the cracks along the ground? And quitting's crossed my mind quite often, but we've come too far to turn around. Baby, you don't have to worry, and darling, you don't have to fear. If we ever feeling worried, love will lead us both from here. So lead me by example, lead me, 'cause I've been going nowhere. Lead me to the promised land. I'll follow you through fire, more than my friend. Lead me by example, lead me, 'cause I've been going nowhere. Lead me to the promised land. I'll follow you through fire, more than my friend. Doesn't matter where we started, as long as we finish together. I said it doesn't matter where we started, as long as we finish together. Lead me by example, darling. Lead me, baby, I ain't going nowhere. Lead me, you are the promised land. Follow you through fire, more than a friend. Lead me. Lead me. Show me the way. Lead me.
Lead me by example. What a beautiful, inspiring song. We will only conquer the promised land if we do it together. We need to lead by example. And this is exactly what this is. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cee Lo. Thank you for this. Wow, that was cool. Oh, we also want to remind you that along with donating $5 per viewer here to MedShare in support of frontline healthcare workers, Pila is also donating 50% of today's profits to the Greenhouse Foundation. So get to shopping after this, guys. The cases are so beautiful. Look, I got mine. And I will never, ever, ever go back to plastic. It's so cute. Even the texture. Look at this AirPod case. So cute. Texture is unbelievable, for real. Okay, so moving on to our next speaker, I'd like to introduce to you the founder of Going Zero Waste, a website dedicated to helping others reduce their trash and live a more holistic life. She's also the author of 101 Ways to Go Zero Waste. She will talk about how to still reduce waste right now with what's going on. Welcome, Catherine Kellogg.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It has been great. So many events today. Happy Earth Day, everyone. So yes, today I'm going to be talking all about ways that you can still reduce your waste right now. Things are a little bit hectic in the world. There's a lot going on right now. And for me, that shifted a lot of my purchasing habits. That shifted a lot of my buying habits. It shifted so many of the systems that I built in place that helped me reduce trash. And honestly, that's a bummer, yes. But I honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's a really good thing. I'm from Arkansas, which is not necessarily the most green, eco-friendly, progressive state in America. I didn't know what recycling was until I was in college. So it's never too late to become a hippie and love our planet just a little bit more. And I say that because being in California, I live in Northern California, and I have access to so much. I have access to so many products in bulk. I have access to package-free almost everything right at the tip of my fingers. And not even being allowed into the grocery store with my own reusable bags has reminded me that not everyone has access to package-free products. Not everyone has access to reducing their waste. And when we rely solely on the consumer and make that solely the consumer's responsibility, that's really a missed opportunity. So instead, with many of our purchasing options binding us and preventing us from living and acting our values, I'm hoping that we'll be able to use our voices and demand that manufacturers and producers step up and start taking responsibility, extended producer responsibility over the products that they create in the world. So I do have a few tips today on ways that you can still reduce waste, but as well as get involved in creating some larger actions to hopefully have a ripple effect that will be even more positive on the other side of this. So the first thing that I want to talk about is paper products. I know that where I am, there has definitely been a shortage in toilet paper, paper towels, paper products. Many of you have probably had shortages as well. And the great news is that switching to zero waste alternatives is still something that is accessible. It's going to save you a lot of money, and you don't have to worry about running out to the store in case you need these things. So the first thing is paper towels. Paper towels are very water intensive to make. Of course, it takes a lot of trees to make paper towels, and a simple swap for that is simply by using reusable towels, reusable dish towels. And my recommendation is to get one that is organic cotton, because if you have microfiber, every time you wash those microfiber towels in the washing machine, it sheds tiny microplastic pieces into the waterways that are too small to be filtered out. A study was done by Orb Media a few years ago where they found plastic in 84% of drinking water worldwide. And many of these fibers come from our synthetic clothing, like microplastics, clothing made from recycled water bottles, polyester, acrylic, nylon, so many of these fabrics. And one of the best ways to prevent them from going out to the waterways is if you have something like a guppy bag, you can put them in and capture all of those fibers. And switching to reusable towels, I also try and get ones that have a wide weave, because those help absorb moisture instead of just push it around. The second thing is toilet paper. Americans flush 27,000 trees down the toilet every single day. That's a lot of trees. And it takes 37 gallons of water to make one roll of toilet paper. Often we don't see all of the resources that go into making our products, but that resource cost is pretty high. So a simple swap that you can make is getting a bidet attachment for your toilet. These typically cost around $50, and it'll pay for itself in a few months. My husband and I, we only order one box of 24 rolls of toilet paper a year because we just don't go through that much anymore. So I'd highly recommend anyone looking to get a bidet attachment. My next tip is recycling properly. Now more than ever, I know that waste on average, household waste has increased almost 4 times. And I know that a lot of recycling companies are also suspending their recycling programs or changing their recycling programs because the rules have changed yet again when it comes to collecting our materials. Recycling is not a system that is the same across every state, every country, every county. It varies so much. So I'd highly recommend that you take a look into your waste management website, whoever handles that, and make sure that you're actually separating and making sure that you're putting all of your waste in the correct and proper bins and making sure you're doing that in the right way. And if you're looking for an even larger action to take right now, there's a great bill that is currently going through the US Senate and the House that has been done by Break Free from Plastic, which is an NGO that is working to put more responsibility on the manufacturer and less on the consumer, and make sure that the producers are actually creating products that can be recycled in our current recycling system. It's also deposit systems are included in there, a lot of really great stuff. So I'd highly recommend look into the Break Free from Plastic Act, email your representative, and make sure that you tell them you would like for them to support that bill. And then last on my list today of simple tips that you can make at home is to avoid and reduce food waste. Now, you might be struggling to find food, or at least the foods that you really, really like. You also might have bought too much food and you're afraid of food going bad. So one of my suggestions is if you start to see your produce wilt, freeze it just like frozen food. You can take and slice and dice, put it on a flat tray, put it in your freezer, and once it's frozen solid, you can decant that into a mason jar, a reusable bag like a stasher bag, or even if you have a plastic Ziploc bag, you can wash those, clean them, reuse them. I do that. I have one that I've used for 5 years now to use where I hold vegetable scraps in it. So you can definitely use what you have, freeze that, and then you'll be able to use it in meals just like you would frozen produce in the future, and you've avoided anything going bad and going to waste. Another tip when it comes to food waste is just to make sure that you're storing your food properly. So things like lettuce, I found the best way to store that is to put it in a glass container with a towel on the top, or store things like your carrots and your celery in water. So I think now we are coming up on the Q&A portion of this. And I would love to ask any of you for your questions, any tips that maybe you can do while reducing waste at home, or larger actions that you can be taking during this time.
Yes. Yes, Catherine. Wow, that's a lot of information. Even Suki here wanted to know what he could do about it. So yeah, access is such a major issue. It can be so frustrating to go to a coffee shop with a stainless steel bottle and not being allowed to use it. Oh my God, it makes me so mad. But instead of just, being angry, we need to find solutions. And you just gave us a handful of those. So thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. It's really a matter of creativity to find infinite ways to reduce our negative impact on the ecosystem. It doesn't even require a lot of money, right? So thank you for educating us. And yes, Q&A time. We have, oh wait, quick reminder. If you want to partake, join us on your computer. So we have Johnny from Florida asking, how are you grocery shopping right now? Are there still ways that we can reduce packaging?
So for me, I am a member of Imperfect Produce, and I really like them as a company. And so a lot of my groceries are coming from Imperfect Produce right now. And they like to take food that would otherwise have gone to waste and sell it. And it's actually typically at a discount. It's a little bit cheaper, and it does show up on my doorstep in a box with very minimal plastic packaging. However, that does not solve all of my grocery needs. So we have gone to the grocery store. And the one time we went to the grocery store, we did wind up with 2 plastic bags. This is my first time accepting a plastic bag in I believe, over 6 years. But I had 2 plastic grocery bags, which I will use later to clean up litter. So they will have an excellent next life. And I got a few plastic produce bags as well. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with them at this time. But we also go to we have a corner market where I am, which also has a lot of food. And sometimes we go there more often, probably maybe every 3 or so days, in case we need to run out and get something immediately. And we just carry that in our arms. So that way we don't have to worry about getting any bags. But I did have one of my followers make an amazing suggestion, which is just to have everything loaded directly back into the cart and then wheel the cart to your car and then bag in your car. So that way you don't have to bring your bags in, and you can reduce at least a few plastic bags.
Great idea. Hadn't thought about that. Okay, last question. Clark from New York is asking, how can I convince my friends and family to reduce their waste?
I actually have a post about that on my Instagram feed today, which is going.0.waste if anyone is interested. The best way to convince your friends and family is to not convince them at all. Most of the time, it is done through living your actions, explaining yourself, being really joyful, really open. And I always say, take the pressure off the selfless and put it on the selfish. In other words, you're not doing this for the planet. You're not doing this for the animals. Instead, you're doing this for yourself, and tell them how it is improving your life and how things are so much better for you. I also have a bunch of resources about this on my blog, whether
Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for hanging in there. We had some technical difficulties, but you guys are here. We're still here, and we still have amazing guests and great talks to inspire, to educate, and to unite a global community of people interested in making a positive impact on our planet. Our next speaker is the Senior Manager for Corporate Engagement at the United
the majority ending up in oceans and landfill. That's why millions of people are looking for an alternative. You've probably heard of safety razors before. It's an eco-friendly alternative that your father or your grandfather would have used. Safety razors can be intimidating at first, and there is definitely a little bit of a learning curve. That's why at Rockwell Razors, we designed a plastic-free razor that's adjustable and easy to use. So you get an amazing shave without other safety razors. Ours comes with a beginner setting that makes it impossible to cut yourself. Whether you're shaving your face, underarms, or legs, you can adjust the shave setting to provide a very mild to a very close shave. This month, we're donating 10% of the proceeds to Direct Relief to support frontline workers that are fighting against COVID-19. We're giving away the Rockwell 6C and a 4-month supply of blades for today's summit giveaway.
Is that the drink?
What is this, man?
My pillowcase is plant-based. I'm plant-based. Pillowcase is saving the planet. I'm trying to save the planet. It's a perfect match.
I support Pila because of their commitment to making earth-friendly products to lead us towards a plastic-free future.
We can continue to use the products we love without harming the earth, and I think that's pretty great.
I think it's such an awesome conversation starter with others about plastic pollution.
Because not only is it a durable phone case, it also represents a waste-free future, which is an admirable goal and something everyone can achieve little by little.
Yay! Welcome back. Welcome, welcome. We had some technical difficulties. Thank you for hanging in there. I also want to thank Catherine for her amazing speech, her amazing talk, and helping us find ways to reduce our impact on this planet. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry you were cut towards the end of your last idea, but I think we learned a lot from your talk. And now we still have amazing guests. We have great talks to inspire us to unite this global community to make a positive impact. And our next speaker is the Senior Manager for Corporate Engagement at the United Nations Global Compact, which is basically the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. Human rights, environment, anti-corruption strategies, they cover it all. So please welcome Claire Kells, who will be talking about consumers supporting sustainable business. Hi, Claire.
My name is Claire Kells. I'm the Senior Manager for Corporate Engagement at the United Nations Global Compact. We are the office at the UN that works on corporate sustainability. So we work with companies around the world to help them be more responsible and more sustainable. We've been around for about 20 years, and we work with over 10,000 companies from around the world now. So we've really grown over the years. And often when we talk to companies, they say, well, we would be more sustainable if only consumers demanded it. And in fact, consumers have incredible power with their purchasing power to buy the products and services and goods from companies that are actually sustainable and responsibly made and ethically made. So you have great power. But of course, I think a lot of the question on everyone's mind is, how do I know which companies are really sustainable or responsible, and how can I tell, and how can I be a more responsible consumer? So in order to help answer that question, I'm going to step back a few years into the year 2015, which was a big year for sustainability globally. It was the year that the Paris Climate Agreement was adopted by almost all countries in the world. And not only the Paris Climate Agreement, but also all countries in the world, so all governments, all nations, agreed to something called the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so the Paris Climate Agreement, of course, deals with climate change and carbon emissions and tackling those issues. But the Sustainable Development Goals were created to really tackle a whole set of challenges around the world, including ending extreme poverty and hunger everywhere, fighting injustice and inequality, protecting human rights and promoting gender equality, and ensuring lasting protection of our planet and its limited resources as well. So the environment piece is built into the Sustainable Development Goals. So there's 17 of them. Hopefully you can see my slide there to show what they all are. And the Sustainable Development Goals, they're this important world-changing objectives that will require cooperation among governments, international organizations, and world leaders, which seems really difficult right now. And it seems not only really difficult for these large institutions, but also individuals. Can we really make a difference? And sometimes I think we tend to get overwhelmed, as Cee Lo was saying, and sort of say, oh, I can't take anything, I don't know where to, I can't do anything, I don't know where to start. But no, change starts with you, seriously. Every human on earth, even the most indifferent, the laziest person, can have impact. And fortunately, there are some pretty super simple activities that we can embed into our daily routines that if we all do them, can really make a difference. And so some of what those look like are called the Good Life Goals. And the Good Life Goals are a set of personal actions that everyone around the world can take to help support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the SDGs are for governments and the UN, and the Good Life Goals are for us as humans, as consumers, as citizens, as family members, as students, as employees. And each of the 17 Good Life Goals has 5 actions that you can take to be a more responsible and sustainable human being. And I love the Good Life Goals. They're so fun and cute. You can download these emojis if you Google Good Life Goals. And there's a set of flashcards as well that you can download to print out and share with family and friends. So these are a fun tool to really embed this overarching framework of sustainability into your everyday life. And a shout out to Futera. They're a really cool sustainability agency that helped develop the Good Life Goals. And so in the next slide, there's an example of what the Sustainable Development Goals or the Good Life Goals, how they apply to something like the clothes we wear every day. So you can see Goal 12, responsible production and consumption, Goal 6, clean water, and Goal 8, decent work, can all be impacted by the way our clothes are made and how we use them and what we do with them when we're done using them. So let's see. And I think you can see here in that slide, the goals are really interconnected. So if you have positive impact on one goal, you'll usually have positive impact on other goals. But if you have negative impact on one goal, it can also have negative impacts on the other goods as well. So it's a good way to take a holistic approach to sustainability and responsibility. And Levi's is a great example of a company that has really taken on the SDGs and taken on sustainability in a really holistic way, not only in environmental sustainability and especially water conservation. They do a lot of good work there, but also ensuring transparency in their supply chain and worker well-being. And a great way to educate yourself about whether a company is sustainable or responsible or not is to check out their corporate sustainability report or their corporate social responsibility report. These can be found on company websites, or if the company is participating in the UN Global Compact, on our website as well. And I recommend that you take a look, if you have a company or a brand that you're interested in learning more about, try and find their report, their sustainability report, their CSR report. And look also to see if they include specific targets or goals that they're working towards and data to show progress. That's a way to really make sure that they're authentically committed and really having a positive impact. And so here are what some of the specific actions look like from a consumer perspective that you can take when you're buying shoes or clothes or electronics or food, anything like that. I particularly like the one under goal 12, this idea of reuse, repair, recycle, share, and borrow. So I'd like to give a shout out also to Global Fashion Exchange. They're a little group that has created a toolkit to do your own clothing swap. So it's a fun way to connect with people. I mean, right now we're all working virtually, but maybe in the future you can do an in-person clothing swap, and not just clothing, other accessories and items as well. And it's a great way to connect with friends as well, or even in your workplace or your school. And I know there was another speaker from Fashion Revolution earlier, but I did want to just kind of reiterate the amazing work that they're doing, especially in the space of clothing, apparel, textiles. And they offer some great tools to really help you and empower you to advocate to brands about who made my clothes. So it's a great campaign that they're running, especially right now during Earth Week, which is also Fashion Revolution Week. So I encourage you to check out the work that they're doing. And finally, I also recommend the UN's, the United Nations, the Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World. I mean, how easy is that? So it's a great guide. Again, if you just search for it on Google, you should find it. And as well, I wanted to flag a couple of other certifications or seals like Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance, or B Corp, which are all ways to tell whether companies really are committed to sustainability and responsibility and really being rigorous in their approach. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of the Sustainable Development Goals and how you can apply them to your own life, especially as a consumer and the companies that you choose to spend your money on. So with that, I'll wrap up and maybe we have time for a few questions from the audience.
Wow, Claire, this is massive. It is indeed a bit overwhelming, but I think if we go one day at a time, we can definitely make such a big difference. Also, love the emojis, all the layout and the design of your slides. This is also very important, right? The language that you use to convey information, making it consumer friendly, easy to digest and fun, colorful. So thank you, Claire. Definitely, it is up to us as consumers to make these conscious decisions in order to make a difference. We just really need to hack our brains and educate ourselves into it. So we got some questions from the audience here. Let me get them. We have Casey from Boston asking, how can I support sustainable businesses right now?
That's a great question. So if you can, if you're still working and have money right now and are shopping, definitely look for products that are long lasting and can be used more than once instead of cheaper, less sturdy options that are just used one time. also buy secondhand. There's so many great new platforms out there, ThreadUp, Poshmark, to find great clothing secondhand, and also buy biodegradable or compostable, so that if your product, when you're done using it, that it doesn't create trash and waste. And finally, look at where you're spending your money. Take a look at your last month spending habits and find out, is it clothing? Is it electronics? Is it food? Is it travel? And then focus in that area to start learning more about the sustainable options. B Corp certification I mentioned, it's run by B Lab, and they have a directory on their website of companies that have met their standards to be certified. Also Good on You and Done Good or other sort of ratings for sustainable companies. So I encourage everyone to check those out. And finally, definitely go to the brand website or the company website directly and look for that corporate responsibility report. Because companies are really, I think, starting to take action and changing their habits. So you might learn something new by looking at their sustainability work on their own website.
Yeah, that's exactly where my next question was going. This is Camila from England asking, how do I vet the businesses I support to know if they're sustainable or not?
Yeah, it can be a little overwhelming. So, I think, again, read those corporate sustainability reports, read those CSR reports. So there are a few other certifications in addition to the ones I trade, Rainforest Alliance, B Corp. In addition, I'll just name a couple that you can kind of start looking out for. Global Organic Textile Standard, GOTS, it's for cotton and other textiles. Green Globe certification for travel, labor rights, the Forest Stewardship Council for wood and paper products, the Marine Stewardship Council for seafood, and another sort of food-related certification is Certified Sustainable Palm Oil. So definitely take a look at the packaging or the tag to see if there's information there about what ingredients or raw materials went into producing that item. And you can start learning more from there. And then also, I think an important thing is to share what you learn on social media, of course, but also just with your friends and your family, and ask them what companies they support as well, because they might know about some other great sustainable companies and brands, and you can share your learnings.
Totally. We need to be more curious and definitely start the conversation. And George from LA is asking, what SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, is more important to you?
That's such a hard question. That's like being asked who your favorite child is. I think, all of the goals are interconnected. But personally, the one that I find most compelling and I work towards in my everyday life is responsible production and consumption, especially in the area of clothes and food. Where I spend my money, buying really quality products rather than cheaper, less quality products. But I think also climate change and inequality, I think, are really two of the main pillars that are important for achieving all of the sustainable development goals. So, the climate and environment related goals and the equality related goals are really important too.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Claire. Definitely. I think we might be surprised if we really notice where we're spending our money, right? We need to know ourselves first and, explore ourselves and what we're doing in order to know how can we, as every human being, how can we make a difference and help. So thank you so much. And we will be right back after this short commercial break from our sustainable brand partners.
We can do anything when we all do something. I started Stasher because I wanted to eliminate plastic waste. This was something that was directly related to the fact that I wanted my kids to have a brighter future. We want Stasher to be more accessible. We're giving 100,000 bags away this year to eliminate 25 million single-use plastic bags and containers. That's impact. We're working with NGOs like Surfrider. That's all they do, is to try to inspire other people to be more proactive about protecting our nature. You can also sign up for the Plastic Free Challenge, or we can help you organize a cleanup within your own community. All it takes is one.
One good call.
One day at a time.
We all have something to give.
To save,
to protect. We all have our reasons, and they all count.
We can all save what matters.
Save what matters.
Save what matters.
Hey, you.
By now, you've probably heard about plastic pollution.
And how it's destroying our oceans. So what are we going to do about it?
You say no to straws. You bring your own bag. I get it.
Now, what about that thing in your back pocket?
Over 50 plastic phone cases are thrown away every second.
Polluting our oceans.
This is the world's first eco-friendly phone case.
Completely compostable and made from plants.
Join us in protecting your phone
and the planet.
Hello again. We are getting to the end of our experience. Not yet though, but it's been so enlightening and so empowering for me and hopefully for all of you watching too. Thank you for this, Pila, for real. So our last speaker is one of the most accomplished female big wave surfers in the world. She's a business innovator, a media spokesperson, and an environmental activist. She will be closing our stage discussing why clean oceans matter. Welcome, Bianca Valenti.
Hi. Oh, hi. Hello. All right. Well, hello. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. This is funny just to be on virtual and not seeing anybody, and I'm strangely nervous. But yeah, super stoked to be a part of this. And I have to laugh because the question why ocean health matters is kind of like asking why breathing matters. Like, I think there's a saying, it's like, how long can you go without food? And something like a month, I think. And then how long can you go without water? A few days. And how long can you go without breathing? Well, not that long. So yeah, the ocean is the world's largest natural resource. It accounts for 97% of the water on our earth. So that means without the blue, there's no green. So imagine what Mars looks like without water, and that's what Earth would look like without the ocean. There's a million reasons why I could sit here and tell you why the ocean matters and why we should focus on saving it. But what I thought might be most helpful is to tell you how I successfully ride huge waves. Because I can break it down into 3 basic steps. And riding a huge wave like this might seem pretty crazy since nobody in the world does it. These waves are the size of waves that would kill most people. And obviously I'm not a superhuman. I didn't just start doing this. It's taken a lot of little steps to get there. I started surfing when I was 7, and that was the same moment I decided I wanted to become a champion. And that was also the same moment that I became an environmental activist. I used to go to the beach every weekend and pick up cigarette butts for the Surfrider Foundation. And we had a philosophy that was always leave the ocean, leave the beach cleaner than you found it. So just taking those action steps back then made me really aware of the problem that we're facing now, which is serious because the ocean controls our world's climate. So when I'm going to catch a giant wave, this isn't just something that I dive into. It's a very well thought out and executed plan with a lot of little steps along the way, starting with waking up and breathing. And so, yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is that we got to look down the line and focus on where we want to get and not where we're at right now, because where we're at right now, if we continue to sustain where we're at, we're not going to have any coral reefs left in the next 50 years. So we actually need to focus on regenerating the ocean's ecosystem. And and the second point is make a plan, take action, and commit to it. When you're looking down the line at a huge wave like this, you don't have time to think about, am I going to go or not? If you hesitate for one iota, you're dead. So this is one of my favorite mantras, and it's dedicate, don't hesitate. And that's what we all need to do in taking the positive steps that we can right now. It's isolation time. What can we do right now? We can ride our bikes down to the grocery store, and we can reduce our impact. We can order less products from Amazon, even though it's so convenient. Yeah, so I'm always looking down the line at the end of the wave, focusing on where I'm going, not where I'm at. Then I make a plan, I take action, I commit. I look at that line, and every single line that I take, it's thousands and thousands of hours of work. And it's not just me in that line, it's a whole community of people, a whole team, coaches, my mom, my family, supporters, everybody. The ocean, the animals in the sea, they they support me. And so yeah, it takes a village, it takes a team, it takes people like the people at Pellicase. It takes people at Surfrider, at Save the Waves, and all over the world. So we all need to take action today, take action right now. I have been surfing this week, and the whales just came back into town, and it's so exciting when you're out in the water and you see this like puff of water, and it's a whale spouting. It's just like this feeling that is so connecting to the ocean and to the earth and to the habitat. It's so inspiring and uplifting. It's really hard to look at the numbers and to see that only 10% of the world's largest fish are remaining. But guess what? That's 10%, and they're showing up right in my backyard right now. So yes, we can do this. Hope is anchoring. We got to stay hopeful. Every little bit counts. It takes a lot of small victories to create a big win. And yes, I want 3 minutes until question and answer, but I'm ready for questions and answers. I mean, I can list off some stats for you.
Do you want to close it off?
No, I want to hear. Well, I want to talk about kelp. Actually, this is a project that we're launching today. It's called Help Kelp, and what you might not realize is that kelp is just like the rainforest of the ocean. And in California, it's funny because I can think back to when I was a little kid surfing, and I'd be riding waves, and I'd hit a patch of kelp and then go flying and wipe out. And now almost 90% of the kelp is extinct. But the cool thing is kelp's the fastest growing organism in the world, and it grows 2 feet a day. So this Help Kelp project is to restore a whole kelp forest in LA off of Palos Verdes. And these are limited edition hats that Sea Trees made. And so I don't know, they might have sold out already. There was only 100 of them. But there are action steps that we can all take today and every day to help kelp and help the ocean, so that way we can keep breathing.
Amazing, Bianca. Thank you so much. Okay, I gotta say, I tried surfing and it was so hard, so hard. But when I finally got to ride a wave, wow, you really do get into this like spiritual flow state, and you understand how sacred our oceans and our planet is. It's intense. So I understand where you're coming from, the interconnectivity of everything. It's really
Yes.
amazing. Sometimes you just need to experience it to understand it from within. Oof. Yeah. Thank you, Bianca. Thank
Yeah.
you. I think this is such a relevant subject, especially these last, I don't know, couple of years, I feel like thanks to the internet, we're starting to realize how much harm we've really done to our oceans. It's massive. We need to start acting right now. So thank you for being a part of this. Now we are going to do our Q&A session. We have Denise from Argentina. How often do you see dolphins and whales and turtles while surfing?
Well, I'm lucky right here I live in a marine sanctuary in San Francisco. And so I see dolphins almost every single time I go surfing, and the whales are just migrating right now. They're right under the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It's incredible. I remember the first time I was surfing in high school, it was a foggy session, and I was with my friend down at a local beach, and this like pod of 100 dolphins showed up, and there was a baby dolphin. It was the first time I ever saw a baby dolphin, like about 2 feet big, and it just like melted me. I felt this like really a greater sense, yeah, of purpose and connectivity. And it's the ocean's the most special place in the world. It's so unexplored too. That's what's crazy, is like all this hype around going to space. What about going below the ocean and visiting Hawaii and seeing the other side of Hawaii under the water?
Yes, actually, you were mentioning the space, and I'm a diver. I do a lot of that. I'm an advanced diver, and I do feel like I'm in space. Just your relationship with gravity and what you find down there is out of control. So that's also my way to connect with the planet to its core and to, get that flow feeling. So yes, I identify. And we have Olivia from England asking, what is a climate action that we can take today?
So you can help kelp, you can support sea trees or other awesome organizations who are doing meaningful work to create a blue climate right now. And or you can ride your bike to the grocery store, you can walk, just make a choice to ride a better wave and for the ocean or on land. And that's something that I always like to think about, is like, no matter if we get to compete in a contest, which is what we've been trying to do, is compete at Mavericks, a big wave right here in Half Moon Bay. Contest has gotten canceled, but in the process we got equal pay for female surfers. So it's been these ups and downs and roller coaster ride. But at the end of the day, you can wake up every day and make choices throughout the day that build upon your cause and your purpose to save the ocean, to ride better waves. Yeah. So that's something that I try to think about all the time.
Amazing, Bianca. One last question. Gary from South Africa. How often do you surf over live coral?
It's pretty rare these days to surf over live coral, which is kind of crazy, because I remember when I've been surfing since I was 7. I'm 34. So when I was a teenager and I got to travel to places like Hawaii, you were surfing over live coral. Now it's really, really rare to do that. And, it's amazing what the earth can do. And I think the silver lining in this whole pandemic has been to see like all the air clear up and all the water clear up, and how resilient the planet is. But it's also really scary to think that I'm surfing over one of the few live coral reefs left. And yeah, so I just think right now we got to do everything we can to regenerate and to leave the world in a better place than we found it.
Yes, 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 Bianca. Definitely. We need to start doing stuff ourselves now, today. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Now we know that Pila is all about eliminating waste from our oceans, like Bianca was talking about. So today they've actually just launched a new product to do that. Check out Pila Slim Cases. And now, when you shop Slim Cases, you can know that a portion of your sale is going to empower children to be stewards for the environment through Cee Lo Green's The Greenhouse Foundation. And for those of you who RSVP'd, keep an eye on your inbox after this for giveaway winner announcements. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And to close off our event, Ambi Kavanagh is going to guide you through a short sound bath meditation to close this event. The sound is best experienced with headphones on. Any will do. Let me get my sound bath gear on. Lie back and allow the sounds and vibrations wash over you, helping to ground you on Earth Day, which also coincides with a new moon.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I want you to take the next 30 seconds to a minute to just close your eyes and take a few deep grounding breaths, breathing in fully, exhaling and sighing, and just intending this closing grounding meditation to help take all that knowledge, all the information that you've heard, and ground it into your consciousness, into your mind, body, and soul through the sound bath meditation with sounds and vibration of an earth gong, which seemed appropriate, and some bowls and some chimes, and allow this to help you move forward from this new moon, from Earth Day, this decade, to play your part in healing our beautiful planet. Closing your eyes and inviting the sounds and vibrations in. I'll guide you out at the end.
Just taking the next minute or so to take a few deep cleansing breaths, inhaling deeply, exhaling fully, feeling grounded back in your body, ready to embrace Earth Day, Planet Earth, our One Mother, and this next lunar cycle. Taking the time to just gently open your eyes. Thank you. Namaste. Happy Earth Day.